Jean Decoux was a French Navy admiral who was the Governor-General of French Indochina from July 1940 to the 9th of March 1945, representing the Vichy French government. Early life and naval career. Decoux was born in Bordeaux, one of 3 children of a family originally from Upper Savoy. In 1901, aged about 16, he entered the École Navale. He was promoted to aspirant second class in 1903, to aspirant first class the following year, ship of the line ensign in 1906, ship of the line lieutenant in 1913, corvette captain in 1920, frigate captain in 1923, ship of the line captain in 1929 and rear admiral in 1935. He was appointed commander of the defense sector at Toulon in 1938 and promoted to Vice Admiral, Indochina. On 13 January 1939, Decoux was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Naval Forces in the Far East by President Albert Lebrun. He assumed his new appointment, in the rank of Squadron Vice Admiral, on 12 May. In 1940 he was named French Governor of Indochina, succeeding General Georges Catroux. Like his predecessor, Decoux initially wanted to continue the fight against the Axis powers, but he swore allegiance to Pétain's regime after realizing that his meager armed forces were no match for the Japanese. Decoux reportedly received demands from the Japanese in early August for permission to move troops through Tonkin in order to build air bases and block Allied supply routes to China. Decoux cabled his Vichy superiors for help, but when no help was forthcoming, signed a treaty on 20 September 1940 opening Haiphong Harbor to the Japanese, giving them the right to station troops in the region. Decoux worked to improve relations between French colonists and the Vietnamese, establishing a Grand Federal Council containing twice as many Vietnamese as Frenchmen and installing Vietnamese in civil service positions with equal pay to that of French civil servants. The Indo-Chinese Federal Council, which was composed only of Indo-Chinese, and later the Grand Federal Council, were the formal structures that Decoux felt he needed to build to develop the Indo-Chinese federal consciousness simultaneously with the elevation of the elite. Rather than a legislative or executive body, the Federal Council in both its forms was a body constituted of non-elected elites who gave their opinions to the Governor-General to assist him in his decision-making, and served as a forum to strengthen the relations between these elites and the authorities. The GFC replaced the IFC in 1943 by introducing 23 French representatives and adding 5 local members, thereby ensuring that the Indo-Chinese presence outnumbered the European. Decoux believed this would reverse the reluctance of the locals to believe in the genuineness of the politics of collaboration, and he most likely wanted to show goodwill toward the Indo-Chinese peoples following Roosevelt's public statement, heard on BBC Radio and known to Decoux and his entourage, that maintaining French sovereignty in Indochina was not a principal objective of the U.S. Decoux's first wife, Suzanne Humbert, died in a traffic accident in 1944. She is buried in the Domaine de Marie Church Convent in Dalat. Decoux enforced the discriminatory laws against Gaullists and Freemasons, as well as the anti-Semitic statute on Jews, despite decrying the laws harmful to the Vichy agenda. One author claims Decoux to have been unconcerned during the famine of 1945. During this time over 1 million Vietnamese died of starvation in the countryside and urban cities, and the author asserts that the Decoux government did nothing to help the Vietnamese peasants, farmers, and poor, despite soliciting and courting the Vietnamese elite. However, archival records show Allied bombardment of railways and the requisitioning of boats by the Japanese made it impossible to transport rice from the Cochinchina to Tonkin. On 9 March 1945 the Japanese took direct control of the government and ousted Decoux, establishing the Empire of Vietnam. Arrested and tried after the war, Decoux was not convicted. He was restored to his rank and prerogatives in 1949. He later wrote the book Et le bas de l'Indochine. He died in Paris in 1963.